Hello, Transparency Gang. Welcome to Transparency Tuesdays. Today I'm talking about friendships outside of the marriage. The reason I'm specifying the outside is that your first friend needs to be your spouse, but you tend to have friends that are not your spouse. So these are the kinds that we are going to discuss, especially with regards to your marriage, because everything in your life affects your marriage. So friends are nice, right? You have people to hang out with, you have people to picnic with, you share memes with these friends because if you guys are friends, you probably have like a similar sense of humor and all of that. But sometimes a friendship can be detrimental to your marriage. A friend, and this is something my husband highlighted for me when I told him this is the topic I want to go with. He said a friend should be a friend of the marriage. Now, what does that mean? It means, first of all, that person has your best interest at heart, has your spouse's best interest at heart, and has the marriage's best interest at heart. Because your friend is someone you need to be able to rely on, right? And not just in the good times. You need someone to tell you you're out of line, or you shouldn't have said that, you need to fix this and that. Friends are people who are real with you, and friends are there to help you build and not destroy. Then he also gave me a list of red flags for people who are not friends. You may think they're your friends, and you may wish with all of your heart that these people are genuine friends, but they're not. The first red flag is a friend who wants your spouse. Whether it's just to sleep with your spouse or to, get married to your spouse. And I know it sounds crazy, but it's a crazy world that we live in. That is not a friend. Why? Because I just said earlier that a friend needs to be a friend to the marriage. This is not a friend because they have intentions of breaking apart what God has put together. They do not have your marriage's best interest at heart. They have their own agenda, and this will never ever be healthy for you. And you can't trust such a friend. What else? Like it starts with them wanting your spouse, but what else could they possibly want of yours? And I think this was a quote by Oprah Winfrey. I could be wrong, but the person was basically saying that a true friend does not want what is yours or what you have. So naturally, as friends, you gravitate towards people who have similar interests to you. So it's okay to have similar goals and all of that, but similar is not the same. Your goal can't be to have my husband. Yes, your goal can be to get married, just like I'm married, but your goal cannot be to be married to my specific husband. So no, that is a red flag. The second red flag is having a friend of the opposite sex who wants you. Actually, that shouldn't even be a friend. The minute someone knowing very well that you are married starts expressing romantic interests towards you, you need to cut that down. Listen, I am an expert when it comes to blocking people. Let me help you. If you don't know where the block button is, okay, I don't know about Android, but with Apple, you just simply go to your contacts, you go to a specific person, keep scrolling down, and then there at the bottom it will say block caller. Do that. Then go do the same with WhatsApp. Then go do the same with Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, wherever it is that you guys are connected. You need to end that for your marriage's sake. Because sometimes we like acting like victims. I don't know what happened. This person just... No, you helped it. At some point, you were assisting for this behavior. And remember, when you don't shut something down, you are encouraging it. And because we tend to think that encouraging it is when you respond to the proposal, suggestion of you cheating or whatever, then you think, I'll just ignore them. So my husband was telling me that guys have this thing where ignoring is not the same as full out rejecting and blocking, because in their minds they're like, oh, so we're playing this game. I like the thrill of the chase. Let's chase. So you need to be very clear. You need to shut it down very, very quickly. Friend of the opposite sex who doesn't know you married. Why? Why is your marriage a secret? And actually, this is not even a problem on this friend's side. It's a problem on your side. You need to check yourself. You need to check your heart. What are you hoping to achieve by carrying on like you're not married? You know there's a problem when you start not wearing your ring. Like, why? Why are you playing single? And I mean, yeah, there are days where you forget it. I've been married over a year now, and it's funny. I can never get used to wearing my ring. It's always an intentional thing when I wear my ring. Like now, I was like, oh, I'm recording Transparency Tuesdays. Where's that ring? But on a day-to-day basis, I truly forget. I actually have to put wearing my ring in my routine and put my ring close to my earrings, because I like wearing earrings. I never forget those. So my ring stays near to my earrings, and as I put on my earrings, I'm like, ooh. So check yourself. And there's no shame in getting marriage counseling. I always encourage premarital counseling. Prevention's better than cure, but if you weren't fortunate enough to have that, you can, it's possible. You can do marriage counseling within the marriage. Me personally, I'd suggest a born-again marriage counselor, because then they have values that I would have. Because other people will tell you, yeah, maybe you guys need to be in an open marriage, and that's just weird. In my perspective, that's not where I'm going. So that was the third red flag. The fourth one is having a friend of the opposite sex that your spouse doesn't know about. Again, this is a problem on your side. Why are you having secret friendships? Why are you even keeping secrets to begin with? This is like bordering on where you have secret bank accounts and secret money coming in that your spouse doesn't know about. That's just weird. And the thing about marriage is that it's a team effort. So think about soccer. If you have, it has 11 players. Soccer has 11 players. If one soccer player out of that 11 has a secret injury, they're going to let the whole team down, because in soccer, you need everyone to be on point. You need everyone to be able to use both legs and the head and the neck, everything basically, because it's a physical sport. So if a team member comes in and hides the fact that they twisted their ankle and insists on getting onto that pitch, obviously they're going to be the weakest link and drag the team down. That's why you need to be transparent. Hey, Transparency Tuesdays! You need to be transparent in your marriage. So yeah, please don't have secret friends, especially friends of the opposite sex. I mean, secret friends of the same sex are also dangerous, but that's not the topic for today. So don't have secret friendships, please. And sometimes it's not even that you have romantic feelings towards these secret friends. It's just that you have no business being friends with that person, and obviously your spouse will be upfront about it and let you know, and you don't want to know. So you're just like, I'll just do it on the side. Nothing should be done on the side. Not just cheating, but friendships. You should not have a side thing. Number 5, never have a friend who talks down on your marriage or your spouse. So remember, in the beginning, I said a true friend is a friend who has the best interest of the marriage, your spouse, and you. So if someone is always going to tell you or point out your spouse's faults or point out the weaknesses in your marriage and why it's not going to work out. That is not a friend. You know how us as women like saying that if you have a girl, a friend who always breaks down your self-esteem and always points out your weaknesses, that's not a true friend. That person is there to destroy you. It's the same with your marriage. Why would it be different for your marriage? And guys, you need to set boundaries. You need to make it clear, to these friends of yours, that your spouse is definitely off the table. If they think he or she has a funny nose or their eyes are too small, that is their opinion that they need to keep to themselves. Never allow a space where people can talk and say whatever they want about your spouse. Because remember, the Bible says the two become one. So don't think that they're dissing just your spouse. They're dissing you too. So you better not allow for that to be a thing. And this tends to be a thing, especially on the side of the family, where you have an older sister, older brother who just thinks they can say whatever they want. You need to nip that in the bud. Moving on, the next red flag, having conversations with a friend from the opposite sex that you cannot tell your spouse about. What could you possibly be having in that conversation that your spouse can't know about? Unless you are planning a surprise birthday party for your spouse, you should not be having conversations that you can't fully disclose with your spouse. To your spouse. It's not brain surgery, It's just that as human beings, we like putting ourselves in sticky situations that end in tears. So please don't do it. I don't even think I should go deep into that one. It's what else could you be talking about that you can't tell your spouse? Having a friend who you always complain about your spouse to. Listen, you need to talk to your spouse first. Complaining about them is not going to change whatever it is that's bothering you. What will change what's bothering you is having an open conversation with your spouse, explaining what it is that you don't like and explaining why you don't like whatever it is. Then you pray over it. You have communion over it and keep it moving. You're destroying your relationship and you're breaking the trust and the confidence of your spouse if you're going around everywhere airing your dirty laundry. And it doesn't matter if this friend of yours, you've been friends since you were like 2 years old. It's different, and you should never betray the trust of your spouse. Me personally, I'd say keep your circle of friends close. You can have acquaintances. No one needs to be that close to you and your husband. But for me, like the one thing I will always emphasize, always have friends, cell sisters, brothers, spiritual leaders, whatever you want to call it. I call it cell leader. Always have someone like that who will always be able to call you out on your nonsense, but not just to break you down, calling you out and helping you fix it. Because I'm sure most of you know, I hope you do, marriage is not like Hollywood. They lived happily ever after and then they drove down the sunset. It's a lot of work. It's actually like losing weight. Yeah, you don't just like run once and then you've got, nice things. No, it's a constant thing. That's why even bodybuilders don't stop. And I know it's a joke to be like, why is this guy still lifting all of these things? He's big already. Yeah, that's how he's still big, because he doesn't stop. It's a consistent thing. So always work on your marriage every single day, but above all things, always pray for your marriage. Pastor Arch is the one who did premarital counseling with my husband and I, and the one thing that he emphasized so hard, and I always think about that, he said you need to always pray for your spouse all the time, because they're not as strong as you may think they are or as they portray to be. So you always need to pray, because our weapons are actually not against flesh and blood, the Bible says. It's against principalities and the dark world that we cannot see with our physical eyes. And you can't fight that. With what gun? How are you going to shoot spirits down except through prayer? And even these people who have malice towards your marriage, it's a spirit, really, because no one is born evil. It's just spirits enter and interfere. So if you're not praying for your marriage, if you're not praying for your spouse and asking God to give them wisdom and open their eyes so they can see these things coming from a distance, you really are just doing yourself and your spouse and your marriage a disservice. So that's it for today. Pray, pray, pray.